have some very disturbing news about something that happened this morning. A young man came to us last night looking for help. He was very interested in our movement.
Call on Chris's phone to his family. He's a discharged veteran with back problems. Absolutely no reason for it. And it was extreme excessive force. And when you see the photographs, you'll see the secession and you'll see exactly how it transpired. Or if you read my...
I finished his phone call, and when he did that, the officer reached for his phone and he pulled it away as if to say, like, why are you taking my phone? And then after that, as the officer reached for the phone again, he pretty much tackled him.
He was then put in a car with a hood over him called a spit mask. They took him to the hospital, St. Mary's.
One of the officers was digging his knee into his back, and while he was holding his arms down, the other officer proceeded to get him in a chokehold.
You can look at the officer's face and the muscles in his legs and tell how much force was used. You know, it's not acceptable. Right. And Chris is right. You know, I'm part of the old school punks, and we're not. You know, no, it's not acceptable.
What happened at the hospital?
At the hospital.
He was there for maybe 2 hours. They released him back to police custody. He is now in the Long Beach County Police Department on $25,000 bail for smoking a cigarette. This man is a veteran. He fought for this country. I mean, I don't know how to say it. I spoke at City Council tonight on this subject. I'm so disturbed. I don't even know what to say.
Members need to set a good example for the rest of the city. If you don't feel you have to protect the First Amendment rights of Occupy Long Beach, why should the police bother to protect an 18-year-old girl who happens to be a part of that group from violent attacks? I do not feel safe in this city anymore.
What about when you went into the hospital?
Brought him in about this time. He goes, no, there's no one here. We're like, are you sure? Are you sure? We know the cops took him here. This is the one that they said that they were bringing him to. And the guy goes, no, but you can go check up at the front office. And the front office goes, why are you here? He's in ER. We're like, we just came from there. She goes, well, he's over there. I don't know what they're talking about. So we go back, and as we go back, Susie Sue was just runs in and starts just throwing out very good lies, actually, about how she's her ex wife or whatever. Yeah. But then we found out that he wasn't even there. He was already left there at 12 and then went to jail. And then his bail is now set at $250.
Wait, you guys didn't see him?
Huh?
We went in after filing a report with Internal Affairs at the Police Internal Affairs Office. We went to the hospital to try and find him. We were told first that he was not there and nobody with his name had been there in the emergency room. We then went to the main lobby where they said he was there. So we returned to the emergency room and asked them again, he is here, we know he's here, they just told us he was here. They said, no, he's not here, nobody by that name's been here. They just told us he's here. So we dragged one of their volunteers back to the main lobby and said, this man just told us he's not here. You told us he's here. Which one is it? oh yeah, he's here. So Susie and I followed them into the emergency room, through the doors.
No, because his fingerprints haven't come through yet. They're going to come through at about 11 just so they can keep him overnight, and then we're going to go in the morning.
You guys never got to see him?
No.
At the hospital?
No. We didn't get there in time before they took him to the police station. But we're going to go at like 4:30 tomorrow and get him out.
A particular room, and I said, no, they're lying. They said go to the main the main reception desk. She says, yes, he's there. I was like, okay, went back there. The nurse opened the door. Chris and I went back into the emergency room and we're like, no, he is here. You know, he has been here. You know, I'm his ex-wife and I am the mother of his children, which is so not the truth, but, you know, desperate measures. Yeah, so we found a young man who actually accompanied us.
He like stands halfway up and lets go, so his head kind of falls and hits the ground again. And then after that, he's out for about 2 minutes. And before he comes to, the only reason the officer actually checked his pulse to see if he was alive is because we're all standing there going, will you check if he's alive? Like, he isn't breathing. And the officer just kind of was like, oh, okay, I have to do it. People are yelling at me. But then after he came to, he lifted his head up and his whole face was just red and purple and his lips were like almost like a bluish purple. He had a giant gash on his eyebrow and his nose was bleeding as well. And then after that, he did not, before I tell you what they put on him, I have to point out that he was already in handcuffs, but he did not spit at all. The one thing he said was, is this really what you do to your veterans? And then the officer proceeded to get one of those spit guards out of the truck, and then they put that on him, and then they picked him up, and when they walked him to the thing, but when they went to go take the step off, they kind of did a little bit fast, so he kind of stumbled. But then he went to go regain his footing, and you could tell, and you could see the cops go like this as they're holding him, kind of pushing him down. And all you hear him say is, "Stop holding me down, I'll walk." And then the officers proceed to pick him up and carry him just into the car and like forcefully just throw him in the car. And then right at that point, there's about 6 more cars come. One of them was with a sergeant. He immediately told the one officer to go do paperwork.
He refused to answer my question. I started crying because I finally realized that no matter what happens, no matter how in danger I feel, not even the police will be there to help me. He turned away and said he was done dealing with me. Is this how the LBPD is trained to treat people? Not as a person, but as a protester? Both times I called the police not as a protester, but as a girl who was being physically hurt or threatened. Yet 11 police officers showed up in 15 seconds time to arrest my friend, a fellow occupant, for smoking a cigarette in the park. You council members need to set a good example for the rest of the city. If you don't feel you have to protect the First Amendment rights of Occupy Long Beach, why should the police bother to protect an 18-year-old girl who happens to be a part of that group from violent attacks?
Obstructing the police officer and smoking in the park. Clearly, the only thing he was doing was smoking in the park. He wasn't obstructing anything, and he definitely didn't resist arrest. And then the other thing is we've called a few lawyers to try and work out a way to file a lawsuit on his behalf and maybe make it a class lawsuit because there's other people that have been harassed. And then the other thing was we were talking about doing marches for police brutality.
The Vietnamese people or any other colonized people, because we're brutalized. The police in our community occupy our area, our community, as a foreign troop occupies territory. And the police are there not to, in our community, not to promote our welfare or for our security and our safety, but they're there to contain us, to brutalize us and murder us, because they have their orders to do so. And just as the soldiers in Vietnam have their orders to destroy the Vietnamese people, the police in our community couldn't possibly be there to protect our property because we own no property. They couldn't possibly be there to see that we receive the due process of law for the simple reason that the police themselves deny us the due process of law. And so it's very apparent that the police are only in our community, not for our security, but the security of the
I'm content to die for my beliefs.
And also to see that the status quo
So
is
cut off my head.
Revolution.
and make me a martyr. The people will always remember it. No. They will forget.
A man who walks with God can walk anywhere. Hence, I fear nothing. The point of guerrilla war is not to succeed. It's always been just to make the enemy bleed, depriving the soldiers of the peace of mind.
The gentleman who would be the victim in this case, sitting on the step on the ledge right outside the park, and a bicycle cop proceeds to ride up and get off and tell him, "You can't smoke in the park," and he responds, "Oh, I thought I was on the sidewalk or whatever," because his feet were on the sidewalk or whatever. He just didn't know. He just got here like 2 days ago, and so then he proceeded to start and grabbed his legs and then drug him about 6 feet onto the grass, and one of the officers proceeded to like ramming his face into the dirt and the ground until he proceeded to, like, you could visually see that he passed out, and you could like audibly hear him gasping for air. And it took 30 seconds after he went limp, like he was out, for the cop to let go. But when he lets go,
to clear the tents. One officer used pepper spray on a group of protesters who had tried to block the police.
Shortly after taking the stage, Obama was mic-checked by Occupy Wall Street protesters criticizing the ongoing crackdown on demonstrators across the country.
December the 1st, 2808. Doomsday.
Yeah, to the forces of darkness, I bring you the torches of our shit. Reinforced with the heart.